the countdown. Well, hello, and I should say aloha.
Aloha.
And I just want to say hello to everyone who is going to watch us live, or the people who are going to watch the replay afterwards. I just want to say good evening to everyone. It is 8:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And my name is Alejandro J. Tornato. Some of you know me already. And this is another session. This is like the rebirth of Conversations with Influencers 2.0. And just because of the special guest that I'm having tonight, this should have been called Conversation with Super Influencers 10.0. because once you get to know my very special guest, Stacy J. McPherson. And I know we have so many things in common, but there's one thing that we have in common, and is the middle initial J.
Yes.
And I just want you. I think that the whole point of this session is for all of you and for me as well, to get to know Stacy, because I tell you one thing. Um, and let me just say hello to Mandy Robinson. Mandy Robinson, hello, my dear sister. Thank you so very much for being with us here in the room in Conversations with Influencers 2.0. And just to begin with, um, I don't know how long ago it was. Not very long time ago, when I met this lady, and I started following, her posts and her videos on social media, and I began to discover a little bit, who she is. I can tell you there's one word to describe her. I'm sure that there are plenty more words, to describe her, but the very first one that came into my mind was joyfulness. It was joyfulness, because once you get to know Stacy, um, she has a contagious smile. She has a contagious attitude. Um, and I'm just going to ask her, in the course of this kind of conversation slash interview, um, whether she is like this. I know that she is, but I want her to explain to us whether she's like this when she's on camera, or whether she's the same person off camera, behind the scenes. Okay, when nobody is looking at her, then we want to get to know her in a more kind of an intimate way, and she is a total influencer once you get to know her. And so let me just stop talking, and let me just pass the baton to her. Let me say that it is a pleasure for me, Stacy, to have you as my very first guest in this rebirth of this show. And I think that I could not have chosen someone better to begin this anew than you. So I'll pass that to you. Tell us basically, in your words, who is Stacy J. McPherson?
Thank you. First of all, I just want to thank you so much, Alejandro, for this opportunity and for the joy of being here with you. Like, oh my goodness, I look to you so much as an example of joy and happiness and positivity. And I know you're on the same on camera and off camera because I've talked to people. Your bubbly, joyful personality is with you all of the time, which I can't wait to be able to be with you in person at one of the live events. I'm looking forward to that. Yes. So I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm the mother of 7 children and have 3 grandchildren. I love people. I love connecting with people. I feel energized and joyful when I'm with people so much. Like I just feel like I can't get enough of being around people. And so I, about 10 years ago, looked into becoming a coach, and I have absolutely loved it, cheerleading people, growing them, helping them be the most optimal they can be. And so that's kind of been my progression, like my family focus, and then also my business and growing to be able to help people transform their lives. And so that's been kind of me in a nutshell.
Okay, let's start from the very beginning, and I just want to say hello to Marilyn Morales. I mean, she's joining also. I mean,
Hi,
so good,
Marilyn.
so good that you're here. Now, you mentioned, I mean, you mentioned a few things that I want to start peeling the onion, as it were. You have 7 children, you have 3 grandchildren. So, for all of you who are watching us tonight, I think that Stacy is the youngest grandmother that is living on the face of this earth. I can tell you. I mean, when every time that she says, "I got 7 children and I got 3 grandchildren," I said, "My goodness, I wish that I could be in such a situation that I have 3 grandchildren and look so vibrant and energetic and joyful as you are." But
Thank you.
let me ask you a question. Uh, as you were growing up, did you always have this desire to have a big family? I mean, to have 7 children or many children? Because the average. I read it. I read it some time ago that the average family, the average American family, is just the husband, the wife, and what is that? 1 point. I think it was 1.5
Bye.
children.
Yes.
Now, yes, how can you have 1.5 children? I really don't know, but that's the statistic. So you are so much better than the statistics. so so what, I mean, what was that, was it always within you, that desire, I mean, to have a big family?
Yes, when I was young, so I was the third of 9 children, and I loved growing up in a big family. Like my mom would call me the peacemaker. I was the one that could come in and people were fighting and tensions were high, and I could come in and just make everything better. Like I don't know how I did it, but she said I would just help the environment, and I just thought I really like being surrounded by people I love and being in this environment. And I felt like it gave each of us the opportunity to grow so much by having so many of us to navigate and get along with and deal with each other, right? And so I just decided when I was young I wanted to have a big family. And when I wrote in my autobiography when I was in 4th grade, I wrote, "When I grow up I want to be a mom." Like that's what I wanted.
It's amazing because there are so many people, and I talk to so many people, and even me. I mean, I wanted to be an astronaut. I mean, when I was a kid. I mean, the I mean, I guess at that time, I mean, I didn't want to be a dad. I mean, I wanted to be something else. And so many people, I mean, they just want to be wealthy, millionaires. They want to have impact. I mean, they want to be engineers, architects, doctors, lawyers, whatever it may be. But in your case, you wanted to be a mom. Is that, let me ask you, because I think that there could be a connection there. Are you a person of faith?
I definitely am. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, because definitely, if you are a person of faith, then through that there is that connection, and there is that desire that you. I mean, let me put it this way. Um, I think that you know as well as I know, and everybody who is alive today, and who has a few inches of brain in their heads, they can see that we are living in a very challenging world, that we are living in times where I think that I don't have any problem saying where right is wrong and where wrong is right, where everything is just topsy turvy, where everything is upside down, where men want to be women, where women want to be men. I mean, everything is a kind of a mixed salad. But in your case, you are so true to your identity. I mean, you are a woman, you are a mother, you are a wife, and you have those so dear values within you. How, in this kind of an environment, I mean, how have you been able, I mean, to be strong to those values and to your identity as to who you are?
Thank you. Thank you for asking that. So I have to share a little bit of my background. When I was about 36 years old, I moved to Thailand, and I lived there and learned so much. I learned about Buddhism, I learned about their culture, I learned about their priorities, and got to know and love these people. And then fast forward 5 years, I went to Israel, and I got to live and love these people. I got to meet all of these people, learn their language, study with them, understand their religion, understand their values and their focus on the family, and really just got to understand them as much as possible. And then I moved to Hungary, and I got to learn to love these people and understand their values and their culture. And so, if there was one word to describe me, I would say it's what you said, joyful. But second would be open-minded.
Yeah.
And I just have learned to love all of God's children, like exactly where they are, who they are right now, the choices they're making right now. I can just deeply love them, and not and just withhold judgment, in the sense that I don't need them to change for my love to be pure, to my love to be unconditional. And my I have had friends that say they've never met anyone who could love everyone like I can. Like, how do you how do you love everyone? And I think it has been such a blessing in my life to live in these countries and to really understand them, and make friends with people who don't even speak English, like people who, and then learn their language. Like, we point at things and we just like try to understand each other, like really peeling it back to the most basic, and then living as if I know nothing about them, and then growing from that and learning to love and expand. So that's a little bit about me and my background.
My goodness. Now, um, let me ask you this, because you said that I mean, you're definitely a loving person. I have to tell you, I don't know, and I have never met your husband. I think that I once watched him and you on a video, doing the koala, whatever it was. So
Koala challenge,
that's
yes.
right, the koala challenge. And so, but I have not met your husband. But I can tell you one thing: that man, in my opinion, I'm not going to say is the luckiest, because I don't believe in luck. I don't believe in luck, truly. But he is the most privileged man walking on the face of the earth, because to have met a woman like you and to be married to a woman like you, I mean, his life must be a complete delight every single day. And following that statement, let me ask you this question: Is something does something or someone ever could make you angry? I mean, how what needs to happen for you to get angry?
Oh, I love that question. Oh my goodness, I love it so much. So I could actually share a little bit about my coaching and like my values with this. And that is that when I started my coaching journey, I wanted to teach people what I had learned. And the thing that I had learned that I practiced for 1 year straight was how to feel the way that I felt would be best for each situation, not just act the way that I wanted to, because I obviously wanted to act the best way, but I was tracing it back even further to say, I want to feel the best way. I want to think the best way. And so I learned a process from a mentor where I could retrain my brain to be able to choose the most optimal way of thinking and the most optimal way of feeling. And so I have a little story that I even told Alejandro that I was going to tell at some point, and so we'll get to that. But it's a story that it's a kind of a parable, honestly, that I used to transform myself and my ability to feel the way that I want to feel, and to have a moment of space between stimulus and response where I get something happening to me, something traumatic, something devastating, something frustrating, even something boring, anything that I would kind of not like to feel. There's the situation that I could choose to feel that way. And then I have this ability, and it's not superpowers, because I was a normal person and I learned it, and I teach my clients and they learn it. And it's the most powerful thing I feel like I could ever learn or teach, honestly.
Excellent, excellent. And so, what is that secret? I mean,
Yes.
you know, everybody wants to know what is the secret to eternal youth. Okay, now tonight we want to learn what is the secret to maybe live a full life, and live a life of joyfulness, and live a life. I mean, between that stimulus and response. I mean, when you talked about stimulus and response, there is a book that I read uh, some time ago, a long time ago, by Viktor Frankl. I mean,
Yes, I love it. I read it too.
that's right, and it was his experience during the Nazi occupation, and he was in a concentration camp. He was the only one in his family who survived. I mean, his wife and parents and everybody else in the family, I mean, was killed by the Nazis, but he survived. And it's amazing the way that he described and how he survived, and everything was it was in his mind. In his mind, if you can train your mind to not perhaps see the circumstances, the reality that you are going through. Because if you look at the reality that you're going through, and you are in the midst of a concentration camp, I mean, uh, kind of a crap every single day, every single minute of the day, then you just go crazy. I mean, you just kill yourself. But once you train your mind to see beyond those circumstances, then it's a completely different story. And it's not the stimulus that comes to you, but it's how you respond. What is your response to that stimulus? So let me share. Let me hear your story.
Okay. Okay. So I have to share that my mentor lived the way that I wanted to live. That he was able to do this. He didn't react. He was very calm, and he was very energized at too. Like he was able to kind of modulate his internal state to reflect the best state for the environment. And he really never got angry. He never got upset. Like he never spoke harshly or anything. And so I was like, how do you do this? And he also took amazing care of his body, and he has a loving relationship with his wife and his kids, and he has a great financial story, and he's like doing it all right. And so I was like, teach me. And the first thing he said wasn't helpful. It wasn't helpful because he didn't actually know what he was doing. He was just doing it. And so I like to use the analogy, and this is a little preparatory for my main one, and that is that if you were to see Superman fly and you went up to Superman afterwards and said, "How do you fly?" And he just says, "Well, you just fly. You just fly." How helpful would that be? Like if you stood right now and tried to fly, you wouldn't know the first thing to do to be able to fly. And so that's how I felt when my mentor said the first thing to me. He said, "Just be happy," which you kind of want to punch someone who says that. You're like, no, it's not that easy. I can't just be happy. So together, he and I created a way for me to access his superpower flying ability in my life by these small steps. So I'll tell you this analogy now. Okay, it's a little story. So imagine you're walking along on a sidewalk and it's a beautiful day. The sun is shining and the birds are singing and you're in a park, and you go further along on this sidewalk, and up the hill a little ways is something sparkling and glittering on the ground, and you want to know what it is. So you go closer and you look, and it's a pile of broken glass. Well, you look down and you remember you have these comfortable, sturdy shoes on your feet. You could easily walk on that glass with no injury to yourself, no problem. And this glass represents the problems of life. And these shoes you're wearing, they represent your emotional state. And when you're optimal, when you approach a problem, the problem doesn't have power over you to injure you. So you can just walk along and walk on that glass, no problem. Well, in this case, you bend down and you take off those shoes. You unlace these shoes and you take them off, and you take off your socks and you walk in bare feet in this glass, and now you're in pain. The problem is there, and it feels painful. You're in pain. And you, of course, would look at me and say, "Stacy, I would never do that." None of us would. Nobody would take off their shoes that are protecting them from the glass. But in real life, we do this often, where we feel less optimal in any way that we don't want to feel, angry or frustrated or irritated or traumatized. Even we get this emotional feeling that is painful. It hurts us, the emotion, when it's not something that's optimal. And so we have a beautiful space in time where you actually do reach down and untie those shoes and walk in the glass, or you keep them on. And for most people, me included, think that there is no space. You're just all of a sudden you're standing in the glass and your feet are cut and you're like, "What just happened? I didn't take my shoes off. I don't have shoes. What are you even talking about?" So what I did with this story, and it was the most powerful story for my life at this moment in time, because what I did was I said, I want to keep my shoes on, and I want to find this space where I take them off. I want to know when I take them off, and I want to decide whether to take them off or not. And so I could tell you my whole story, what I did to be able to, but I'll just skip to the part where there was a time when I literally could freeze that moment in time and freeze it and just say, "How do I want to feel right now?" And feel the way I wanted to feel. And whenever I did that, you wouldn't believe how much I acted in accordance with my true values, with what I would think would be the best for the situation, the best for the other people, the best for me, with the best outcome. The more consistently I did this, the better my life became in every area.
So as a matter of fact, I mean, if I want to paraphrase what you just said, is that when you are in that moment where you have to make a decision, or whether you have to respond somehow, before you actually respond, you freeze the action. It's like if you're watching a movie, and then at that point you just put it on pause. Boom. I mean, you freeze the movie so that you have time to think about how you are going to react and respond in that moment. And that allows you those perhaps seconds or those few minutes to respond in the very best way that you can possibly react.
Yes. And I would say at first it was very conscious, meaning I was very aware of that space. but then it became my new unconscious behavior, my new habit. So then I didn't even have to think. I just was starting to act in ways that were optimal more and more often.
So it became a habit. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely. And the more that you did it, it was put into your subconscious mind, not
Yes.
consciously, and then you were acting it, and then perhaps you were not even realizing you were doing it, but you were actually doing it because it
Yes.
was the subconscious that kicked in those moments.
Exactly right. Exactly. And I have two very quick examples. One is that I went hiking and I was invited and people were planning it and I just assumed they had planned in food. Well, they didn't. We did a strenuous hike for about 8, almost 10 hours of hiking. And it was beautiful hiking. It was in Petra in Jordan, but I was not used to going that long without food. Since then I've learned to fast and other things, but at that time I was not optimal, like that. The situation, the environment wasn't optimal. And I we went back to the hotel and we sat down and we're like, okay, they're gonna feed us. And they told us that they were delivering this special food from another location because it was like so special and it was going to take 45 minutes. And so I was sitting there waiting for the food, not having eaten all day, with the habit of eating, with patterns of eating, and you being used to it and being quite hangry, honestly, up until this point, when I didn't eat. And so I was sitting there waiting for the food and I just realized, I was like, I feel great. How is this possible? Yes, I'm hungry. I can feel the hunger, but I feel emotionally, I feel great. And my first thought was, I'm being nice to myself. I'm being so nice to myself. I didn't know I had been mean to myself before, but I had been.
Wow. Was that as a matter of fact, I mean, that could be, to some, it could be an insignificant thing or revelation, but to people, I mean, who have a level of awareness high enough, um, that is a marvelous revelation, because most people, they are they tend to be nice to others, but we are not sometimes, or very often, we are not very nice to ourselves. I mean, we treat others with the most respect and gallantry and so forth, because obviously, I mean, we respect them, and we don't want to get into trouble, and we don't want them to think of us like, I mean, my goodness, I mean, who is this character? No, but then when it comes to us, just because we have maybe we develop some trust with us, then, I mean, we just don't respect us, and we treat ourselves not with a respect that we deserve, but we just treat, I mean, like, I mean, in a very non-casual kind of a way, I mean, you're just there and so forth, but then treating yourself, I mean, with that joy, and said, my goodness, I mean, I just feel great. I mean, yes, I am hungry, but no, it doesn't matter. I mean, now, I mean, my emotional feel, I mean, is great. Can
Yeah.
you imagine? I just came from this wonderful and beautiful hike, and now, I mean, I'm in this hotel, and I'm in this environment, and I have met all these people. So, in a sense, food, even though food is important, but food took a secondary role, as opposed to the feeling, the emotional feeling that you were under in that particular moment.
Yes. And really quick, so my second story was that I was with a family member who I cared very much about. And prior to this, my family was so important to me, my extended family, that it felt like if they were unhappy with me, my life was over. It felt like so severe. Like I had that very strong sense of wanting to please other people, especially my family. And I was in a car with my sister, and my mom was driving, and my um, sister was like so upset with me because I hadn't been there for a family kind of tragedy, and I had been living overseas, and she felt a bit resentful, and so she started lashing out at me. And I can tell you, my instinct would be to immediately take my shoes off and jump in that glass. Like, someone's not happy with me, I need to beat myself up even worse than they're beating me up. That would be my instinctive response. But because I'd been practicing this so much that it became an instinctive behavior, I started to feel the way I wanted to feel, even without realizing that I had that space. It was just, I practiced enough that then I could just capture it, right? And so here she is doing the thing that was the worst, and I just was able to listen, and I checked in, and I felt so calm, and I felt this overwhelming love for her while she was berating me. Like, I was like, what is this madness? How can I even feel this love for her while she's seemingly being so unkind to me? And it felt unjustified as well, like the things that I was being accused of. And so what I did was I just sat there in this beautiful, loving feeling. And then when she calmed down, I said to her, that was powerful. You were showing me your power, and I respect that. And all of a sudden it melted away, and we spent the next 4 hours exploring the shores of this lake. And it was amazing. Like, complete forgiveness, complete joy. Like, and I didn't actually, honestly, I would say I didn't have to forgive because I never was hurt. It's almost like I've discovered pre-forgiveness.
Wow. Those stories are extremely powerful because they very clearly illustrate that you can diffuse an argument, we can diffuse a fight, we can diffuse sometimes a verbal abuse just by not reacting in a way that it is expected for us to react. Because under certain circumstances, there is an expectancy that, hey, if you are being abused, then you are going to abuse in return. Okay? And what that does is it generates more abuse. it keeps perpetuating the abuse. But if we take the attitude that you take, to listen, not to be upset, and to respond in kind, that melts away any kind of argumentation or abusiveness and so forth. And then you can end up, being friends and enjoying the rest of the time together, like in your case. So, but I tell you one thing, it's very easy to say, but it's not that easy to actually do it. It requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of personal work in order to
Yes.
to react that way.
Yes, and I could even add, someone might be thinking, who's listening to this, what about abusive situations? What about situations where you really should get out? And in those situations, when you feel the way you want to feel inside, you have more power to act in ways that are best for everyone. Mm-hmm. So if there's a situation where that is involved, it's probably best for everyone that there become a pause or a space in that interaction until it can be more safe for both people. And so just looking at it and saying, it doesn't mean you just become a doormat. It doesn't mean all my sisters should be able to yell at me all of the time now. It's actually the opposite has happened. Like, they're becoming more loving and close. And after this interaction with my sister, she said, Stacy, you're someone I would like to spend a lot more time with.
That's right. Because you become, and that's what I said before. Those, people who start those arguments, they have an expectancy that we are going to react in a way, not that we are going to take the abuse and then respond in kind. And then they look at you and says, my goodness. They get surprised because, yeah. What kind of creature are you? You are different from the norm. And that's what happens. When we become, in anything that we do, Stacy, and I'm sure that you know that, if we become part of that humanity of people, then we are one of them. But in order to make a difference, we need to be as and I cannot remember the author, but he wrote a wonderful book, called The Purple Cow. The Purple Cow. And and the whole concept is that when you go in a field and you look at cows and they're all brown cows, then they're all the same. Your eyes, but once in the midst of those cows, if you see a purple cow, then you are going, that cow stands out. That cow definitely stands out. And so sometimes we need to be that purple cow in how we react, in how we think, in how we deal with people, in how we deal with business and so forth, because then our interactions are going to be so much effective, so much efficient, and so much better.
So true. So true. I'm
So
gonna be. You could be the purple cow in the room.
yeah, that's exactly right. Yes. So then you mentioned that you have a coaching practice and you are a coach. Um, when and why did you want to become a coach? Was that because of your love for people and to help people that you said, okay, this is a good conduit to do that? To become a coach.
I had such a strong personal transformation in such a short period of time, where every area of my life changed. I wanted that for other people. I was like, I did this. I took my unhelpful stuff from my amazing mentor and made it helpful for me. And I kept track and journals, and I made little analogies and stories for every space in my journey. And so I've been able to take my clients through what I did for them. Now they can do it, and we've had such success. Like I can't even believe. Sometimes I'm just like in shock, even though I know how good it is. I'm in shock at how amazing it is and how quickly they're getting the results that they want. And so then realizing I want to help more people do this. I can't think of a better thing. And having a whole world of people who can live this way, what does it mean for the world? Like for health, for hunger and war, and if everyone gets to think before they act, and then think of how should I act in the way that's going to facilitate the best outcome for everyone involved, not just me, but for everyone. And actually, honestly, when it's the best outcome for everyone, then it is the best for me. It's actually way better for me when it's the best for everyone than it would be if it was just the best for me.
Well, you are basically, you are giving us your own take and your own perspective of what Stephen Covey wrote in the book. The seven.
Seven habits of highly effective people. Yes.
That's right. Which is a win-win.
Yes.
It's not. When you win and everybody else loses, it's not a good situation. When everybody else wins and you lose, is not a different. When both lose, is not a different. But when
Yes.
both win, when it's a win-win, when you're doing something and you are reaping the benefits, but your client, the people that work with you in your business, if you're a leader, the people that you're leading, when it's a win-win situation for everybody, then everybody enjoys that, and they are so much more determined to keep going because they are winning. Everybody's winning.
Yes.
And
Exactly right.
that is so great. So how long have you been in coaching and doing this? Is this your primary activity when it comes to business?
Yes. And my secondary is now I'm training coaches to be able to coach in my method. So that's coaching and coaching coaches.
That's right. My goodness. So many things, because I went through the certification with John Maxwell, and in terms of personal growth, professional development, and leadership. And one of the things that John Maxwell is very well known for is not, well, is about teaching leadership and being a leader, but it's also being a leader of leaders. Is not just to help someone develop himself or herself as a true leader, but is teaching that person to develop other leaders. So it is the domino effect. I mean, is not helping leaders, but is helping leaders help more leaders. Okay, and what you're doing is not only coaching people, but then coaching the coaches to coach people. So you are geometrically increasing the number of coaches and helping coaches to be more effective in the way that they coach their own clients. Correct?
Yes. Yes. And if I could, I would think of my coaching as a party. And I want to invite you as my listener and you, Alejandro, to join my party. Like, let's have a party together. That's what my coaching is. So it's just, it's an open invitation. So if someone's listening to this and is thinking, well, that's all well and good for her, like she, mother of seven, lived on 5 continents, whatever, like that's well and good for her. But I just want anyone to know that they can do it. Like it's transferable skills that everyone can learn. And so to just make sure, my husband just reminds me, Stacy, invite people to the party.
you know I heard so many things about coaching and coaches. This is something new that I have to add. Looking at coaching as a party, but because I mean, when you meet someone like you, I mean, with your energy, I mean, you. I said it in one of our previous conversations that I don't have that ability like some people to see the aura around a person and to see the colors of that aura, but I can tell you that your aura is like, and I said it to you before, your aura is like a rainbow. I mean, because it's just full of colors. I mean, you are a very colorful individual. You are such a joy to be around. I mean, I can tell you, and I'm not elevating your ego, Stacy. I mean, let's keep that ego in check, okay? Um, but I can tell you, it's such a pleasure. I mean, to spend time with you, because I am spending time with you, and we're not in person. I mean, we're virtually, and I can palpable. I mean, feel your energy. I mean, your energy just comes through the computer lines and cables, and I can feel it really, because it's really, attitudes are magnetic. I mean, and that's why we have to be so careful, I mean, with the people that we spend time with, because you heard, I mean, you don't want to spend too much time with those energy vampires that are all over the place. I mean, that really suck and drain your energy instead of giving, and so forth. I mean, they are really takers, not givers. But you are, my friend. I mean, you are, from the very first moment that I met you. I mean, I could feel, I mean, your energy, your positive attitude, your joyfulness. I mean, your passion for life, your passion for living a full life. And it's very rare to find those kinds of individuals, I mean, in the world that we're living. There are, but they're not the many. They're just the few.
And I think the same of you. I do.
Well, thank you so very much. And I tell you one thing, isn't that true? Isn't that interesting that when we act in the way that we act on a natural basis, we attract? Because you attract, I mean, is not, you don't attract uh, just things or material or people. You attract the people and the things in congruity with who you are. I mean, you attract as who you are. If you are a miserable person, you are going to attract misery into your life. But if you are a joyful person, if you are someone who wants to live life to the fullest, if you are someone who is upbeat, I mean, he has, then you're going to be attracting those things. And that's why um, we cross pathways. And I'm so happy for that. So, in just the few more moments that we have left on this session, and thank you so very much, I mean, for your willingness to spend this time with me. What is next for Stacy McPherson? So what are you working toward, or I mean, if you want to share it, I mean, what are the projects in your near future?
Okay, so one of them is that, so I'll tell you a little background. Again, my daughter went to college. She actually got her degree in 9 months because she took online courses and in-person courses and got a 2-year degree in 9 months. But while she was gone for 9 months, she kind of expected to see other families as happy as our family, and other parents or adults, couples were as kind of would be as in love as her parents were. And she just struggled to find even one example of a couple that had been married for a decent amount of time that were still nice to each other and loving toward each other and affectionate. And she's like, what's wrong? So she came home and she's like, Mom, Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing that's different than the rest of the world? She's like, your relationship has gotten better and better every year. Whereas most couples, the best time in their marriage was the beginning. And so what she did is she sat us down and she created a whole bunch of video content interviewing us, asking us every question you can imagine. Like, what do you do with conflict? How do you deal with differences of opinion? What do you do? And she took all of this content, and now she's creating videos to teach people how to have a relationship that gets better and better every year. Yes.
Wow. How old is your daughter?
She's 23. She just actually turned 24 yesterday.
My goodness gracious me. Well, I tell you one thing. I think that I need to have your daughter in Conversations with Influencers 2.0.
Okay. Yes. She's amazing. She's so well spoken. She's so articulate, and she's so gentle and understanding and empathetic, and the way she does these videos. So what she's doing is she's creating a testing group, a group of people who test the videos and give her feedback. She wants each video to be the best it can possibly be and to make sense to people. And so she has an alpha team, she calls them, where they go through and review each video. So soon she's going to, when she's happy with the content, she's going to do a Kickstarter. And I've actually been running a Facebook group for her for 2 years, growing it. It's called Exponential Relationships. And I've just been keeping it alive and warm and happy and posting fun quotes. And she's going to take it over, and she's going to share this with the world, how to have a relationship that gets better and better over time.
Hold on. I'm writing Exponential Relationships.
Yes.
And that is a group on Facebook?
Yes.
Is it open to anybody, or is it a closed group?
It's open to anyone. You just have to fill out something, I think, before you come in.
So
yes.
I'm going to go and then a friend, I mean, or just at least, I mean, be part of that, because I'm not kidding you when I said that I would like to have your daughter. What is her name?
Bethel. Bethelle.
Bethel.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, I would like to have Bethel. I mean, if she would be willing to, I mean, to have, I mean, to talk to her, because that is a powerful thing. I mean, that is what I call creative energy. Is creative thinking, and we are living in a world of infinite possibilities, and that Bethel is an example of thinking where there is no box. Is not thinking outside the box. Is there's no box thinking. Is no box thinking. That's a great thing. And I just want to say hello to Gabby Declutter Queen.
Oh, hi Gabby. I love you.
so good to have you, Gabby, in the room with us. But my goodness, I mean, that is taking, that is taking initiative to do something that is going to be impactful. That's what I called a true influencer.
Mhm.
That's what influence is all about, because her work is going to be influential with so many people, especially in the world that we're living, that so many people, I mean, when it comes to relationships, I mean, they don't think too highly about relationships, and it's like, well, I mean, if this relationship didn't work, I mean, well, like, I mean, if this fish just didn't work, I mean, there's so much fish in the ocean, you know. I mean, it's that kind of a mentality. But relationships, once you develop a relationship, once you nurture a relationship, once you pay attention to a relationship, is like a seed. Either the seed is going to flourish and give a tree with plenty of fruit, or the seed is going to die if it's not nurtured properly. And so that's what a relationship is. But I guess that Bethel is all about exponential relationships.
Yes.
Is the tree full, not just one tree, but to have a harvest full of fruit.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm definitely looking forward, I mean, to that. That's going to be a great conversation. You can actually tell her that something is coming in the near future.
Okay, I will. I will. And my husband and I incidentally celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary last year.
I tell you, that is another illustration of an exponential relationship.
Yeah.
That it is an exponential relationship,
Yes.
and it's I mean, it's great that in the midst of so much, I guess, love at first sight and quickly divorce afterwards.
Oh, yes.
That there are people who really take relationships seriously. I'm not saying, and I'm sure that if I were to ask you or to ask your husband, they're going to say, I mean, do you ever have challenging moments with Stacy or with us? And says, well, yeah, I mean, there are challenging moments, but
Yes.
we sometimes we welcome those challenging moments because we are growing in the midst of it.
Yes.
And
Good word.
that's the right perspective. And I tell you, Stacy, just to end, let me ask you this question that I ask all of the guests that I have in conversations with Influencers 2.0. What does it mean to you to live a full kind of life? What does that mean to you? What is it?
To me, a full life is where you bring the best of you to your interactions with other people. And so when I talk about relationships and I think about me interacting with any person, even if it's a stranger or a cashier, someone I'm just going to have a few moments with, if I think about me bringing my best self to the interaction, then what happens? Well, I feel great. So there's no like lack or need. The person doesn't need to do something for me or to me or with me for me to feel good. Because what? I'm going to bring my best self. So I get to feel great inside when I interact with them. So then they are free to be truly themselves in any way possible. They can just be free to be themselves because I don't need something from them. I don't need anything at all. I have it all here. It's all bringing my best self,
Yeah.
So it's people who bring their best selves to interactions where they don't have need or lack, and then meeting together to make a better world. That's fulfillment to me. And then if I could bring it one step further, it would be to teach people to do that, and then to teach people to teach people to do that.
Yes, I tell you. I mean, uh, with you. I mean, 1 hour or 45 minutes is just like a second. It just goes so quickly, and we, I mean, we could keep on. I mean, with this conversation until tomorrow. But I'm going to be very respectful of your time. I just want to say thank you so very much, Stacy, for truly being a shining light in a world that sometimes it is a little bit of of a dark place. And but people like you, I mean, it's there's always, I mean, that spark of hope that in the midst of challenges and in the midst of crisis or in the midst of problems, then we can look at that with a great smile, with a great attitude, with a great mindset to say, well, yes, there is a crisis, but I'm going to grow and I'm going to be better on the other side of the crisis.
Yes.
And that's your attitude. And I'm so delighted. I mean, that I got to meet you, that I got to know you. And and it's really, I mean, connecting with you, I mean, it just brings it brings the spirit and the energy so way up that it is, I tell you, this is, I mean, to have a session like this one is a healthy, I mean, like a healthy addiction without taking any drugs. You know, you can get high without taking any drugs. I mean, this is a very healthy kind of a high. But
I love your sense of humor so much.
so so thank you so very much. And to all of you, I mean, who have been with us and who will watch, I'm sure, I mean, the replay.
Can I share with people my links really quick? Is
Of
that all
course.
right?
Yes,
Cool.
I'm sorry. Yes, I mean, how can people get in touch with you? Of course.
Yes. So my website is stacymcpherson.com,
Okay.
and I have a that's my personal, and it has like an interview with me and Mel Gibson and some fun stuff on that one. And then my business website is happyliferesults.com. And then my personal email I'll share is stacy@stacymcpherson.com. So, and I would love to welcome anyone on social media. I'm Stacy J McPherson. So at Stacy J McPherson. I'm the only Stacy J on Facebook. So Stacy J McPherson. So those are some good ways to find me.
You know what we can do once we finish this session, obviously, because this is live, then you can go, I mean, to perhaps, I mean, the Connected Leaders Academy, because we are streaming live, I mean, to the Connected Leaders Academy, to my YouTube channel, and to my Facebook profile. You can post, you can on a comment. You can put your contact information. How can people reach out and contact you directly? Definitely. Okay.
I love that. Join the party.
That's right. And join the party. So, Stacy, thank you once again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your joyfulness. Thank you for your willingness to do this. And I tell you my thing, my dear sister and my dear friend, just keep doing what you're doing, because you are bringing so much good, so much positivity to the world around you and to the world at large. You are building a wonderful and a beautiful legacy, one day at a time.
Mhm.
And for all of you who have watched this episode of Conversations with Influencers 2.0, I just want to tell you that it gives me a real pleasure, I mean, to have these sessions with great human beings, great influencers, great leaders, people who are definitely making a dent in the world. So until the next session, thank you, and have a great rest of your day, whatever you happen to be, and be well. Good night. Bye bye.
Bye.